So my name is Alex Ojeda, and this is the Starwalker project. And I got started with Permaculture Jax, Jax, in town. So you can find me in both places. One's more of an informational site, and Starwalker project is about this project and what we're doing here. This is intended to be a 100% off-grid homestead, permaculture homestead, doing all the best practices that we possibly can. Permaculture is it's a large brush, and we're trying to be the best of the best. That being said, doesn't mean we'll ever get there, but we're going to try. And we teach permaculture design courses on everything that we've learned since we've been doing this for 6 years. We've got the earth ship, so you get to learn how to build earth ships. We talk about all different kinds of off-grid houses, but we actually have an earth ship going up. We do cob. We talk about energy. Permaculture is basically a serious energy audit. It's not fake energy audit like you get most of the time. It's where things come from, how you use it, and where it goes when you're done. So we live in a yurt. We cook good food, and when we do have lunch and dinner, it's time we ring the bell and you come rushing for the food. We talk about solar panels. We talk about we're going to be talking about ethanol, food planting systems, cool off-grid tools that work better than the powered stuff, how to maintain them. We have all different kinds of people show up to help us out, learn from many different points of views and perspectives, and we hope that our students can bring their points of views and perspectives into the classes as well. So I appreciate any kind of communication, questions asked, or anything online. So give us a call. I imagine a yurt is probably better in a place that could be. Boise, I imagine, is a bit drier than here because it's so wet here. You can walk outside.
Yeah, we don't get a lot of rain.
Yeah, you can walk outside and have to tap the towel off most of the year. Which means, if I didn't have that air conditioner in here, this would be black mold in here. So the air conditioner runs pretty much non-stop from 1 month, from April, May until September. And I'm very happy to be able to turn it off and unplug it and maybe occasionally plug in a heater. I'm planning on putting in a little rocket mass heater down in the floor because we're off grade.
Yeah. And
have it just as a space heater because you don't need the mass in a rocket mass heater. So it will probably just be part of a rocket mass heater without the mass. But you still need the barrel so the smoke isn't in here. Anyway, what you end up with is instant heat while the fire's going.
Right.
Because in Florida, I don't care how cold it is, it's warm in the middle of the day in summer. I mean, to me, 50 degrees to me is very comfortable. So it's, Mary is like a lizard. She'll have to hug the barrel, I guess.
Right.
But anyway, so the idea is to have that in here so that we can have heat in the during the night or in certain hours of the day every now and again in the winter. But it's all about keeping the place dry and cool, so or at least livable.
So this is your no longer kitchen because the kitchen is now inside the yurt.
So the idea is at some point this cement board over there, I'm going to actually stucco that with some nice stuff, and it'll be nicer looking. And you have to wait for pressure treated wood to dry out, so we're about where we could actually put some stain on it just to make it look nicer. I'm kind of thinking I don't want to put any coatings on it because I wanted to keep it as, not use stain. Stain is a toxin for somebody somewhere. But there is this thing where looking nice goes a long way,
It does.
Yeah, that
it
old
matters.
door I found in Riverside, and I just built it in there. And so it's a composting toilet with a shower. I want to actually build a bathroom in there, a tub in there, for when you're really worked out and you want to get into some Epsom salts. Having a bathtub to soak in is invaluable. So yeah, if it's all rainwater, I don't think it would be bad stuff. But right now it's still very unfinished. But it works. The screen keeps you from being eaten alive in the summer. So
right.
That's very valuable.
And you are still on grid.
Yeah, so we use well water here, and I don't like the idea of well water. So as soon as we set up one of the very next projects is right behind us here, setting up the rainwater capture. And then underneath the rainwater capture will be the humanure compost. And we're going to have the water come out of the rainwater capture reservoirs or cisterns, and they're going to come through a pipe. They'll go to the bottom and come through the pipe, through the compost. And then the hot water will actually run the shower. probably even the hot water in the house. So we'll see how that works. And I'm going to have multiple bays so I can connect and disconnect as they cool down. See how that works out. We don't necessarily have enough people here to keep that running perfectly, so I'm probably going to do partial solar heat and compost heat. You know, the trick is, one of the things I learned from Paul Wheaton, I listened to one of his podcasts and he was talking about Legionella blooms, and so I looked that up and I realized, oh, so if water sits at a certain temperature, I want to say it's about 120 when I looked it up, you get a Legionella bloom. It seems even if there's chlorine in it. So if that's hot enough to mist, you'll breathe it in, you'll get a lung infection. So not worth it. So my thing is I want to use the sun and a backup of compost for a compost heat to try to get to the right temperature. So yeah, in the summertime, you already see some of our gingers are coming back. Turmeric waits until it gets hot at night, and then it pops out of the ground.
Wow.
And there's little remains of Okinawan spinach with the purple bottoms on it right here. This is just, you can just eat it raw. This is called rattlesnake root or Florida betony, and it makes a radish consistency but no spice root that looks like a big white caterpillar.
Really?
And they call it rattlesnake root because it looks like a big white rattlesnake.
Oh, okay.
Rattle, you know. And they're tasty. They're good. So yeah, we have this hugelkultur mound that we put here, and blueberries and stuff along the back of it. But wintertime, we dropped this. A friend of ours just gave that to us. A little greenhouse. Dropped it right on top of there, and all of our guava.
Yeah, they're happy in there.
Yeah, if you'll look in there, we've got things actually planted in the ground. So this comes down probably in March, because we could have a freeze in the middle of March that would kill all of this stuff. Now we have all of the things in pots in here too. So we have a couple of coconuts, some water leaf Ceylon spinach. There's my soap nut that I'm going to try to put in this year. Some figs. The guava is thriving in here. We've got another fig in the ground right there. And then I've got these wonderful little Thai peppers. If you made
they're so hot.
Yeah, if you made like a family stew and you put that one pepper in there, you'd taste the heat. So anyway, keeping these guys alive through our little wimpy winter, but we get freezes good enough that it'll kill everything in there. As a matter of fact, if you come over on the side here, you'll see what happens to the guavas when they get frozen.
Oh.
So you just pop the new growth off and you can seed it.
Really?
Or you can skin these and fry them up. Yeah.
Could the girls try one? Girls,
Sure.
did you want to try one?
Would you like to try one?
They've tried to do that with the ones that
There you go.
have spines.
No, there's no spines on these, yeah. There you go. So we stunt the growth of the thing a little bit by eating them, but hey, you got the food. So I stuck these all over the place. So this is our little biochar operation. One of the things that we're going to be doing is, so in our world, it's all about humidity, right? Managing humidity inside of a house. So in the Earthship, the only option that I was given by Earthship Biotecture, which by the way, this is not a criticism on their part, this is just me realizing I wanted to try to do better, so I'm trying to find something I can share with them. But the only option they had was, if you're in a humid environment, beef up your solar power and run a dehumidifier. To me, that would be the last thing I'm going to try to do, but I will do it if I have to. So I've got a bunch of different things I'm doing. My air intake in the back is going to be at an angle, which means as the hot air goes into the house and cools down, I want it to condense the moisture out of the air and then drain back out of my pipe. We'll see if that works. If that's not enough, then I'm moving to the second thing, which I'm going to do them both anyway. The second thing is a friend of mine, Martin Micapino, I think is his name, and he's in Portugal. He basically told me, look, they've got all these wonderful root cellars that they keep their wine cellars, they keep their wine in. They date back to, long before people had Clorox and tile.
Right.
And heat, and air conditioning systems and dehumidifiers and that kind of thing. The cork needs to stay at 40% relative humidity so it doesn't mold from too much humidity or dry out and leak from not enough humidity. So they pack the walls with a cob, but in this cob they actually mix 50-50 charcoal. And the charcoal not only becomes a probiotic surface, okay, which means when you're touching the wall, you know, you basically have biochar walls. Instead of being, oh, you have to go wash your hands because you touched the handle and you did this and did that, your walls are actually probiotic. But they'll actually absorb humidity and release it when it gets too dry, which is kind of an interesting thing, because if you live in an environment that's too wet, you get more fungal infections.
Right.
But if you live in an environment that's too dry, you pass viruses through the dry air.
Yeah.
So 40% relative humidity is known to be a human's best health humidity level. So I'm, you know, hoping.
Right.
So this is our experiment. We've just been turning every little scrap of non-treated wood out here into biochar, all the junk, you know, things that fall out of the trees and lumber cut off ends and that kind of thing, and all of that's getting turned into biochar. And we made a retort here that uses the least amount of wood on the outside to burn to create the most amount of charcoal in the middle. So it's it just rained this morning, so we've got some water here. But I'll open this up. This hasn't been charcoaled yet. This was waiting to be charcoaled.
Would you like me to cut some wood?
Yeah, you can keep doing that. Yeah, we're gonna need a little bit. You light a little bit of a fire up here on the top. It burns down the sides. You throw your tube on the top here, your smokestack. And then when it's all said and done, you get about, I want to say if that's a 30-galloner, you're getting about 18 gallons, just over half.
So I would assume that you went to Taos
Yeah.
and saw all that.
Well, I actually interned back in 2010. I interned with the Earthship crew in Taylor County, Georgia. And that changed my life. So I'm building my frame on the dome right now, and we just started putting some cement on the top before we had to quit the other day. So I'll be back mixing cement and getting that together. We may not be making our cement exactly right. It just kept falling right out. So, you know, there was this other idea of dipping cloth in cement and dropping it on there, and I wanted to do that, but then I kept thinking, would that cloth create like a permanent barrier between two shells? You know, would it, because, you know, I want that cement to bond to itself, like, you know, in between. So anyway, I'm doing it a little bit differently. We're using a tighter mesh hardware cloth and chicken wire on the top, and it's going in on both sides. The dome you see right now, you won't see, because it's going to be under dirt, and there's going to be an inner dome. And the inner dome is probably going to be made out of wood. So that way we'll have wood and insulation, a cement dome, and about who knows how much soil on top of it. So this is going to be an extremely efficient little place, man.
Is it going to be big enough for the three of you?
Yeah, well, this is the little tiny home version that we're going to be in until we finish the 1,200 square foot one that goes to the right here.
So which I think is clever. Experiment with it small, get all your processes right, and then build the one you really want.
Right. And then you kind of have a concept of how much material you need.
You know what you don't know and what you still need to know.
Exactly, yeah. We're actually going to put a greenhouse on the front of this. And part of the reason for making it so tall, the greenhouse actually has to be taller than that, right?
Okay. So
the greenhouse is going to be way up here. I'm probably going to put a mango tree in here and see what I can do about getting mangoes. Okay. You know, you have this, the Earthship has this greenhouse that opens up so many opportunities to you, and at the same time it's part of your water treatment system.
Right.
So, yeah, no question as to whether this is the best idea for building a house or not ever. But anyway, yeah, this will be completely different. I'm actually putting a cement floor in here, because in Florida, I don't know where it's like in other places, if you put wood on the ground, like see that wooden bench right there, it's about to go up here. If that sat there for a week, there'd be something burrowing into it already. There'd be ants tearing it apart. So you just can't have even a cob floor, because this something is like, even the bottom of the Earthship, I saw a mole of some sort had gone across the floor from under the berm. So
right.
We're talking, 10 feet of clay, and they're going from way under, from all the way across. And I thought, so you got to do some kind of something to hold your little world
everything
from
together.
Yeah, otherwise you're sleeping and something's sitting on your lap.
Right.
So if people want to contact me, I'm on Facebook under Permaculture Jax, and that's Jax.
Okay.
mainly, and also I'm in there under Starwalker Project, which is what I call this.
Okay.
And not much to show because tomorrow when we actually turn this thing on, we actually get it all set up together. I'm still not done with this. Rick Sheldon from Hummingbird Acres is going to be here to help us sort it all out. This should be running beautifully after, I say tomorrow, after Sunday of this week. But these are the nickel iron batteries I got from Iron Edison. And we decided to throw the money into this. It's a 300 amp hour system. Nickel iron. Lots of reasons to go with nickel iron over lead acid. If these batteries, for whatever reason, poop out on us, we can just change the electrolyte. Like if we discharge them too much, we abuse them, we can change the electrolyte out, and supposedly it's as good as a brand new battery.
Wow.
I can use 80% of the electricity in this versus lead acid it's 30 to 50 depending before you start to damage them. So it's already more battery each, you know. If one of these cells goes bad after 2, 3, 4 years and I have to remove it and put a new cell in, a new battery, I can just do that. Where lead acid, I have to change out the whole system because now I've got brand new and old batteries. So I've always pointed out with lead acid, you could destroy those batteries in a matter of days. Where these, they last and last and last. I intend to hand these down to my grandchildren is the way I look at it. I still have to build a box around these, put a vent in there, do some conduit around these wires, and we're gonna all do that on Sunday and get it all done. Ground it and a few other things. But I put it right here also because the county electric is right here next to the building. I built the building right next to that so that if I wanted to do grid tie, I'm right here. You know?
Why not?
I'm not so sure I'm going to do grid tie, but you know, if there's
An option.
some reason to do it, I didn't want to make it harder for myself, right?
Right.
So yeah, so as these trees are getting eaten up by the beetles, like you'll see, here's a good, it's real close. See right here. See what's happening there? All that blood coming down, all the sap.
Poor thing.
Yeah, pine sap is really good. You get a cut, you take this pine sap and you put it right on the cut, and it's antibacterial and it seals it. So it's really nice. But the sad thing is there's beetles in here causing damage, and it's trying to protect itself. And what happens is, and this has happened already a couple of times, the front of our little cabin thing is had a tree land on it.
Oh yeah.
And that's all the damage that was done. It really didn't hurt it at all, which I'm happy about, but that was a small pine tree. That was
yeah, glad it wasn't a big one.
I want to say it was this little guy here, you see in parts. It was too far gone, so I left it there. So I decided before these other ones go down, I'm gonna cut them down. So I've been cutting them down. We're gonna replant all of this, but the idea was before they came down on the yurt or on the cabin, these big ones, and before they die and they're rotten, I would get them down so I can use the wood. So like on here, you'll see where the beetles were. You see how there's this big mass of sap, hardened sap here? Yeah. That's where this one was being eaten. And if you come over here, you'll see they all have a spot or two where they're being eaten. It's on the bottom side on this one. But after my chainsaw was stolen, I got John Kraus and Barron to help me sharpen my crosscut saws that I'd gotten from antique stores. And I got these because I thought, well, one of these days I want to go completely without electricity or energy of any kind. And these things right here will be worth their weight in gold. Well, sure enough, they sharpened it up, and now they're so sharp. I mean, it's silly how sharp these are. And John helped me figure out how to sharpen that. You sharpen the bottom, and then you just tighten up the angle. But you're not really sharpening it from this end. You're sharpening this, and that smooths out. And then, boy, I have a new one that I bought, I want to say 3 years ago. And while we were using this out here, a friend of mine from Deutschland, Bernd, can't remember his last name, it's very difficult to say. We were out here stripping this one. These old antiques, sharp as the minute we started. The new one, dull in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Terrible. So get yourself the old antiques. They're like usually about $20 or $30, and get one of those super nice, they're really flat diamond top. They look like diamond sandpaper. And you sharpen the bottom here, and then you clean up the angle a little bit, and man, so I don't even want to barely touch that too hard. Right. And then you get out. But we would do a permablitz where we would fix people's cars and their washing machine and basically fix tool handles and that kind of stuff. So those are good things to do. If you people say, "Wow, I wish I had a community like that," and I just tell them, "Well, so did I, and I made it happen." So I mean, just go out and do it. It's not like, I mean, it really isn't something that you have to pay for. You just do it. You just tell people, "Oh, look, we're gonna come over to your house and get a garden." I went and talked to some good friends of mine had a yoga studio. So I went to the yoga studio and they called all their clients in, everybody that was a student. And I just said, this is what I plan to do. And we put a garden in at the yoga studio. And everybody threw their name in a hat. We pulled a name and we went to their house. And then we pulled a name and we went to that person's house. And we just kept doing it. And then people say, well, what about payment? And what about this? And what about that? And I said, I'm not going to worry about these things.